I find it absolutely fascinating. Not the news itself that we're going to talk about in a bit, but the morality that us have to live under, the new set of values, the new updates that are coming from the academia, from the NGOs, from the corporations. We need to reorganize our mind, okay? Become a little bit more progressive. So what I mean by this is something that I will explain right after we go through the current article, which talks about a homeless man that has defecated. Now, this is not something shocking or astonishing, especially not in New York City. There are places where it happens all the time. But this particular homeless man did something that he wasn't supposed to. He used a pride flag as the support for the deuce. And he used another pride flag in order to wipe his tushy, something that is unacceptable in New York City. Now, in order to do this, he did commit an actual crime. Apparently, the flag which he took was from a restaurant. And this is why they have charged him with burglary. He burglarized the flag, trespassing, and harassment, which technically he did do, but I guess it's kind of a minor offense to steal a flag. You know, it's not okay, but how much is it worth? Like $5? $4? Still, what's interesting is the hate crime. In the United States, you have free speech, so you are allowed to do this on your own flag, but you're not allowed to steal someone else's flag. Now, the punishment for this is not that big, but because it's a hate crime, the punishment is going to be quite severe. And the owner of the restaurant says that they're going to press for maximum charge. Let the hammer of justice fall upon this person. Right. What's interesting is that in America right now, the Supreme Court has said that it is legal to burn the American flag. So if he would have done this with an American flag, it wouldn't have been a hate crime. Okay? So the values, like, we need to reorient ourselves. We need to understand what's really important. I believe if World War III ever happens, then we know which flag people are going to dedicate their lives for. But what fascinates me is that a couple of days ago, like a couple of weeks ago, I saw a mayor from the United States. I believe it was Chicago. And there were a couple of lootings taking place there. Not nice, you know, people stealing stuff, people assaulting others. And the mayor said something very interesting, right? He said that the reason people are committing crime is because they have been pushed by society into poverty, right? So it's not their, I mean, technically it is their fault, but circumstance, right? Society, all of us together have pushed these people in order to commit crime. So we need to have compassion for the criminals. The press echoed this in several articles, and they were like, yes, you know, like when people steal, it's like we need compassion, right? Where is the compassion here? Like all of a sudden, no, this is a serious crime. Reminds me, and I keep making this statement, but it does remind me of communism from my country. There were two sets of laws. You had the penal code, which dealt with robbery, rape, murder, you know, like the normal crimes. And it was very similar to the one we have today. But then you have the ideological crimes. And the ideological crimes, many communist countries call them differently, like some would call them anti-revolutionary action, whatever. But these crimes were punished more severely, and they were actually targeted constantly by whether it was Securitate or the KGB, or depending on what secret police you had, right? So it's literally the same here. Like, apparently, right, if you have a person that does actual crimes that are recognized around the world, right, like robbing, pillaging, looting, we need to have more understanding. Like, we need to be more compassionate. They're victims of society, right? But when you have an ideological crime, and in this case, we don't even know, right? Because the owner of the store said that, oh, well, he could have gone to McDonald's, which was across the street, or he could have used a napkin, right? They don't even know if whether or not the person was legitimately homophobic or just wanted to take a shit. That was what was at handy, right? Like, we don't know any of that. But like, the owner is like, no, we love gay people here, and because he did this to the flag, we will put 50 others. And it's like, okay, look, my point. social justice, allegedly, is supposed to help the marginalized, right? Like it's an ideology that's trying to help the people that are at the bottom of the pole. I do not know when the homeless person is not at the bottom of the pole anymore. Like homeless people are even invisible. When is the last time you had the homeless person go to CNN, become a CEO, right? Like, for some reason, the actual class of people that should be, according to social justice, at the bottom of the pole aren't, right? Meanwhile, a flag, which is property, is more important than actual homeless people, which, by the way, one would make the argument that this is the reason he took the news, because of poverty. Had he had his own home with a toilet, he may not even be there. Like, looking at the gesture, I do not even think that we're talking about a homophobic person, because, again, like, he didn't just take all the flags, right? Like, he didn't try to make... this is going to be solved in court, obviously. But, like, he didn't target all the flags. This was just two of them. So it is quite possible that the person, which may not even be in his mental faculties, just, had to do the thing, and, like, okay, that's something close that he can wipe his tushy with. And we know that these overreactions happen. Like, for example, there was a sidewalk that had the rainbow on it, and some car left skid marks, and people were freaking out. Oh my god, like, we need to find the car that did it. It's like, yeah, but it's on the sidewalk. Like, people do leave skid marks on the sidewalk. Whatever, But like, the way that this flag now has more prestige than the American flag itself is very interesting, because, again, in the case of a conflict, you do have people who are willing to die for the flag. I'm just saying, like, it's the purpose of both flags. Like in Ukraine, right? Like, the Ukrainian people do die for the Ukrainian flag. It's important. Will they die for any other flag? I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I understand that they got a drag queen at the military in order to educate the soldiers. So maybe they are going to be able to hold this flag more sacred than... Kind of funny because it's copyrighted. Did you know that? Like, the actual LGBT flag, the one with the rainbow colors, like, that's free use. Everyone can use it. But the Marxist one, the one with the black and brown and, like, the weird logo and stuff, like, that's copyrighted. Isn't that, like, peak wokeism? Like, when you have the corporate environment just covering it, it's beautiful, lovely. But... I just thought that I would mention this very interesting turn of events, where a homeless person is not more oppressed, where the restaurant owner is in the right and she's going to charge him at maximum, where you have a state that has catch and release policy and crime waves are skyrocketing, but the police immediately managed to solve this particular incident. And of course, the talking point that, well, criminals are victims of society and they commit crimes because they're poor, all of a sudden is not to be found here. Muy interesante. Let me know what you guys think, though, and as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.